So welcome again, everyone, to today's Amazon 201 webinar, where we're talking all about driving sales and growth on the platform. Amazon is really amazing at reaching customers, actually. As a lot of you know, if you're selling on Amazon already, it's a great way to get your products in front of hundreds of thousands, not millions of people who are all Amazon shoppers. But it can also feel really daunting getting started. And so what I invited Daniela on, who's the founder of Mindful Goods, to really break down how to be successful on Amazon, especially for us who are already selling on platform. We are going to be talking about two major buckets today. First, starting off thinking about your Amazon strategy as a whole and how to really uncover what Amazon can do for your brand and how to go about thinking about it. And then we're going to be going into some specific ways of optimizing your listing, things that you can take away from this presentation today and start to implement. And then, of course, there's going to be lots of questions. So throughout the presentation, if you have questions, please drop those into the chat. I'll be keeping an eye on that. That way it's super relevant, and then we can address those at the time. We also have time at the end for Q&A. So if you want to share some specific experiences that you've had or go into a little bit more detail, we will have plenty of time for that as well. So let's get into it. Daniela, do you want to share the presentation that you have
Awesome.
up?
Yeah, let's get this set
We
up
can jump into
here.
it.
So this one, and let's go to present mode here. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Let's move these little icons out of the way here. All right, so hi everyone. Jordan, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be doing this with you. So a little bit about me. My name's Daniela Bolzmann. I'm the founder of Mindful Goods. We've been in business about 7 years, purely optimizing content for Amazon and for brands like that are CPG brands, e-commerce brands, very brand-driven content. Our team is 10 now. We're located across 8 different countries, and we've worked with over 500 brands to date. We're also a Amazon vetted service provider partner. And we've also had our work featured by Amazon and Amazon Fresh. And we love hearing awesome feedback from Amazon reps themselves, like this one from Mike here. And today, just to break down the topics in a visual way that Jordan was mentioning, we're really going to be talking about the 3 components of Amazon that you need to be thinking about. And so usually, and Jordan and I were just having a side conversation about this, usually if there's something wrong with your account, it falls into one of these 3 things. If not, it's like a random side thing, like an inventory issue, a back end issue. But usually if you're not seeing the performance that you need, it really comes down to one of these 3 factors. So we're going to break down these 3 factors. And for point number 2 and 3, it's really a rinse and repeat. You do 80% of step 2 up front, and then you move on to step 3, and then you go back to step 2, and you just kind of rinse and repeat through.
Into Amazon demand, because I think this is really important to understand how Amazon works and how you need to think about just starting out how it's going to perform for your brand. So think about yourself as a customer. If you're shopping on Amazon, you're typically looking for either a specific product or brand, and you're typing that into the search box, and or you're searching for a category of product, right? You might be thinking of, I want to get in, buy a new protein shake. So I'm searching for protein shakes into Amazon to see what comes up. And that's usually how most people are finding products. I think, Amazon's doing a lot to aid in discovery through their homepage and suggest it for you and all their sales. But for the most part, people are actually going on and browsing searching for things that they are specifically looking for. And so it really brings this down into our strategy around demand. For your product, you either have known demand, and this is people who are searching for your products by name. You have unknown demand, which are people searching by product type or for competitive products, but are open to switching. And then you also have no demand, where people are not even searching for your brand or product type. They're not in the category at all. Maybe the product is for them, but they just haven't heard of it before. Or maybe there's just not as much of a need for it. And unfortunately, for a lot of the innovative brands we see, this can also be the case. The one good and bad thing about Amazon is it cuts across like almost all demographics of America. I think it's like over 75% of people actually shop on Amazon in the country. And so your customers are there. It's just a matter if they are looking for your products or not, or even want to buy it online. So here's how you can then begin to use this for your advantage. If you have known demand, if you are a brand that has awareness, you were on Shark Tank, you had a national segment on GMA, you've just been in the market for a while. It's really about how do you make your products as easy to find on Amazon as possible through making sure that your name is showing up, making sure that you're showing up in search results for people searching for your products. It also means how do you have a wide assortment? If you look at normal Amazon listings, right? If you have one product available, you'll be one out of the 10 or so on the product search page. But if you have 6 or 7 product varieties, or even 10, you can take up most of that page, and people are more likely to choose your products. If you have unknown demand, this is people who may not know about your specific brand or products, but they're open to category switching or new to the category for the first time. What are the keywords that people are going to be searching for to find your product? What are the things that they care about? What are the things that will persuade them not to buy your products? How are you different? Think about this from the context of the competitive set. It's not just you alone trying to pitch your product. You are surrounded by every other thing that is similar to you or a little bit different. And what are the things that are going to make your listing and your product stand out from that competition so that people will try it for the first time? And then the last one, no demand, that we kind of touched on. There are a lot of times products that are launched and people actually aren't even searching for it. As an example, I experienced this with my own product, T Squares, when we first launched, because we were selling what we called a tea infused energy snack. And I can tell you, 0 people went on Amazon or the grocery store looking for a tea infused energy snack. It just was not a thing. But what people were looking for, crunchy snacks. They were looking for energy components. They were looking to give up coffee. And so while we had no demand for tea infused energy snack, Amazon actually allowed us to discover that and change our positioning so that we could sell something that people were looking for and were demanding. And so as you are thinking about, and we go into this next step where Daniel's talking around like optimizing your product listings, keep these 3 in mind so that you know where you're playing in. And what I love about Amazon is it's actually really good at helping you identify these. If you have a basic profile, a basic listing, and you start selling with just the bare minimum, you can tell pretty quickly how many people are finding you because they're already searching for your products. You're just not showing up. You can also find if people are searching for the categories and finding you, or if you can tell if like your sales are just 0 and flat, and no, people aren't looking for you, how you're presenting yourself. And it might be an opportunity to reposition your products that's relevant both on Amazon, but also your Shopify site and even in groceries so that you can really tell how you can position you for success. So with that, Danielle, let's get into Amazon optimization.
Yeah, that's great. I actually will add a couple notes to that because I thought that was a great way to explain it. But I have some really great examples of some brands that were in a similar position. So we worked with a brand called Awesome Sauce, and they make a powdered ketchup and hot sauce component where you just add water. So great for people who go camping, and there's lots of different use cases for that type of product. The problem is nobody knows that that type of product exists, right? So there's not a whole lot of demand and people searching for that specific type of product. So from a strategy perspective, they knew that they were going to be focused on awareness outside of Amazon. They knew that eventually people were going to be looking for them on Amazon. So they wanted to be on Amazon and put their best foot forward. But from a strategy standpoint, they didn't invest a ton of dollars into marketing themselves directly on Amazon to begin with, because there would have been a lot of education that needs to happen, and that's expensive to do on Amazon. So they focused outside of Amazon. Another example is a female-founded company that we worked with in the supplement space. They had what we would call like a false start on Amazon. And so they knew that their product had demand because they were already selling on Shopify and selling pretty well. They have an on-trend product. And when they use, there are tools you can use to see what the sales are for products in your category to validate before you put your products on Amazon. And they had done that. And they said, we just can't understand why we're not getting any sales. And when we looked at it, it was a matter of how they had set up their listing and positioned their product to begin with wasn't done correctly. And so they basically just had a false start, right? So those are two really important examples that you want to think about. If there is people buying products that are similar to yours, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to sell some of your product on Amazon. So getting into the Amazon optimization, what I like to explain, can we skip to the next slide really quick? Is for Amazon optimization, what is it? It is improving your sales, it is improving your conversion, but it's really all of these little things that need to happen within your product pages in your storefront to help you sell the most possible. And like I said before, 80% of this can be done, 80% of the work here can be done upfront before you turn on ads, and that's the smart way to do it. And then you can come back and work on that 10 to 20% over time to keep improving it over time. And if we go back one slide, just to show you where we're coming from. As I mentioned, we've worked with over 500 brands. The results that we're seeing right now is that 70% of our clients see a lift in sales, and almost 54% of those clients are seeing anywhere from 60 to 600% increases when updating content to their listing, when refreshing their listing, right? So they could be already selling on Amazon, they could have had a false start on Amazon, but it's really thinking through every single asset that's on your product pages, and that's what I'm going to break down for you today, all of these factors that matter. So we specialize in the content part, but there's other pieces of this that I'm going to share as well. So we go to the next and the next. Yeah. So the first one that we're going to touch on is product assortment. A really great example of one of our clients that does this really well is Momofuku. So I encourage everyone, as they're thinking through their assortment on Amazon, go and click through the noodles, the sauces, all of the different products that they have, and look at how they're set up. So there's two different types of structures here. There's parents and there's child ASINs. A parent is going to be the hierarching product that shows up in the search results at the top here. So you see that's your real estate that you're taking up in the search results. Now the child ASIN is going to be what's shown underneath that. So once they click into the listing, what are the flavors? What are the sizes? And so you can see there's some screenshots down below on the right here where you can see how Rishi Tea assorts theirs by flavor or by, the type of tea. And then you have the option of a 15 count, a 50 count, or as Momofuku has their noodle variety pack, and you can have pick your flavor and you can pick the assortment of the sizes. So there's different ways to think about how you're going to assort your child ASIN. And so the first thing you want to be thinking through is like, what is the category that I need to be in? The second thing is, what is my parent child structure? Am I trying to take up as much real estate in search, or am I trying to just make it really easy for the shopper to find us and pick their flavor? It depends on how many SKUs you have, will help you determine your strategy. The other piece to this is thinking through your PPC budget, because if you don't have a big PPC budget, you're not going to be able to afford to be driving a ton of traffic to individual parent ASIN. So you can save money by having your flavors sit under your parent, even your variety pack under your parent. And that way you can drive ads just to one listing. So that's something you can break these up if you want in the future, or you can keep them together. It's up to you. I've seen brands do it both ways. I've seen brands with lower budgets in the beginning have one parent ASIN where they have their flavors sitting under that. And then later, once they've gotten a number of reviews, they've gotten a number of sales, they break them up. I've seen brands that start with splitting up all of their variations so they can take advantage of Vine program on every single one of their ASINs. Then after they get 30 reviews on every SKU, then they assort them into parent-child so they can benefit from their PPC budget spend on those specific parents. And then I've seen them, after they increase their sales, break them up again. So there's different strategies you can do there. But you want to be thinking through what's easy for the shopper to find your product. And then Another consideration here for your product assortment is thinking through variety packs, snack packs, and travel sizes are extremely popular on Amazon, especially when the shopper doesn't know your brand or your product. If they can't try it in a store, they want to find a way to sample your product. So this is the next best way.
I can tell you, Danielle, too, that our variety packs for T-squares were like 75% of all of our sales. And then
Yeah,
everyone else like bought the individual flavors once they realized which one they
exactly.
would like.
Exactly. And it's a great strategy. It's a great strategy to get people to try out your flavors. Okay, so let's go to the next slide here. So the next piece of this is thinking through the actual SEO copy that you're going to have on your product page itself. And so this is one of the areas where that brand Akasha Superfoods that I mentioned, they messed up on this step. And it's because they copy and pasted their content from Shopify into Amazon. The challenge with Amazon is that it's a search engine. And so you really need to be doing your research in terms of what keywords, what phrases are people going to be searching for. So there's a few components of this, right? There's your title of your listing. There's your description of your listing. There's some attributes which show up on the front and the back end. And then there's additional keywords. There's another piece of this called alt text, which falls into your A+ content, which I can share. I'm going to share later. But basically what you want to be doing here is figuring out all of the keywords and phrases that are most relevant to your product. There's tools that help you do this. And by the way, any tool that I talk about in this presentation, I have a slide at the back with links to every single tool. So you guys will have that tool pack ready to go if you need it. The second thing is once you've figured out that data, those keywords that are most relevant to your product, you're going to want to infuse that with sales copy, right? So you want to create a narrative that helps people really quickly skim your copy and read it. And then the third piece of this is thinking through the other sets of data that you have available to you. So if you're running PPC, you want to pull your PPC reports and you want to understand, is there any keywords that are converting well? If so, we want to build those back into our listing in the title, in the bullets, in the description. The other area you want to be checking is your brand analytics. So there's really great data sets in brand analytics. They're going to help you understand what people are searching for. And it's Amazon basically giving you this data. So you want to be checking that at a minimum on a quarterly basis to see if there's any keywords that you might have missed that you can move back into your listing. And then there's competitor and review analysis. So competitor analysis and review analysis, I like to do with a tool called Data Dive. It's a more advanced tool. So there is a learning curve involved. But for the competitor analysis, we like to do what's called a reverse ASIN. And it basically helps us understand what are all the keywords that the competitors are ranking for in our category. And so by looking at that, you can kind of get some other low-hanging fruit that you should be ranking for as well. And you should build that into your listing. And then the other last piece is the reviews. So there's a ton of data in reviews, and Amazon makes it really easy to get an AI analysis of the reviews. But one step further is you can, from Data Dive, you can basically pull an analysis of all the positive and negative sentiment of those reviews. And that helps you understand, okay, how do we need to position our product? What are people hating about other competitors in the space? And what are they hating about our product that we can actually improve upon in our messaging and help them understand better? What do they love about the other products that we definitely have to make sure to let them know that we also have these things and we do it in a better or different way? And then the final piece here is we need to start thinking about the AI. So Amazon has already announced that they're changing the algorithm. They're going to be moving towards an AI-based algorithm. This is going to be a good thing, but it's going to mean a lot of changes in the future. So while everything I'm talking about today is still valid today, it's going to be changing pretty rapidly. So one of the things that we know right now today is that Amazon is scanning images and trying to understand them and add context to them. And then we know that Amazon has all kinds of buyer data, right? So they know how many times we've bought a product. They know which products we're looking at. They know our demographics. They know everything about us. And so you can imagine they're probably going to find a smarter way to serve up these products to people who are searching for them. So for instance, if I was searching for snacks for my kid and I wanted them to be sugar-free, if I had looked at 3 other competitors, they might find smart ways to serve up other snacks like that to me in the future. And so one of the ways that we know that we can kind of feed the AI right now is by making sure that these keywords that we want to be showing up for are also built into our creative assets. So we're going to touch on that in the next slides, but
And
just
one thing I
something
just
to
want
think about.
to really talk through as well is I'm guilty of this myself and worked with other founders who write their SEO copy and their listing copy based on their solely from their like founder or brand perspective without
Mm,
fully understanding what customers are looking for, right? Like use like very flowery language and talking about all these benefits that you want people to care about. But
yeah,
a lot of times it can be really different from what customers are actually looking for and searching for. And I think that's why it's so important, this data section of using the PPC reports, brand analytics, competitor reviews to like make it about your customer
right.
and less about like quite what you want to believe on Amazon, because they're looking for those specific points, right? If they're looking for no sugar, they like want to see that very clearly. If they're looking for no sugar alcohol, like they want to see that called out. And you of course want it to like flow, but it should be really be from that customer standpoint of what they're looking for to buy, not from like what you would hope you want them to buy from you.
Totally. Totally. And that you can definitely find very easily when you do the review analysis. What we do is we kind of bake it down into what are the 5 themes in the 5-star reviews and what are the 5 themes in the 1-star reviews. And based on those themes, you can basically prioritize what things you need to be talking about within your listing and infuse that into your whole story. Okay, so one thing we really need to talk about that I think gets overlooked a lot is your offer. And so before you can, like, this is a big part of optimization. It's not a part of what we focus on at Mindful Goods, but it's something that every brand should have in mind as they're thinking through their strategy on Amazon. And there's 3 components of this. There's price, inventory, and reviews. So your price is basically, there's going to be a threshold, right? Like, yes, there's premium brands out there that sell and do well on Amazon. They're very unique. They probably have big budgets. It's a very unique strategy. But for the most part, most brands need to be thinking through what is the baseline, what is the average price on the low end and the high end of what is actually selling on Amazon. And using tools like Helium 10 and Data Dive, you can very easily see page 1, page 2, what are the sales that people are seeing, and what are these products priced at, right? And you can go into each one and kind of figure out which offering is the closest to yours in terms of is it a variety pack, is it a single product, how many ounces is it? And you just got to kind of figure out like where you stand in the marketplace, because Amazon is never going to position you on page 1 if you don't have a competitive offer. And that starts with price. And the other thing about price is the more competitive you make it, the better your ranking is going to be, the better your sales are going to be. And you're going to hit that like flywheel effect that everyone talks about on Amazon. The second piece that I feel like gets overlooked a lot is inventory, and Amazon's really cracking down on this lately. So 1, you want to keep your inventory stocked. And by stocked, I mean 2 to 3 months of product at Amazon FBA specifically. When you do fulfilled by Amazon, you're not going to see as many sales. Some products like chocolate products, you can't use FBA year round, so that's a challenge. But for the most part, if you can, I recommend using FBA because you're naturally going to get more sales. Amazon promotes those brands better. And then you really want to avoid stockouts or low inventory levels. Amazon is now talking about placing fees on low inventory levels. They also place fees when you have way too much product at Amazon. But the thing about stocking out is that if you stock out, you're basically starting over from scratch on Amazon. So you want to think through it that way. At all costs, you want to avoid stockouts. And the final piece of this is reviews. So still today, after years and years of doing this, we have brands that still ask their friends and families for reviews. This is a huge, huge, huge no-no on Amazon. Amazon can actually track IP addresses, and they share their data with Facebook. So it's very easy for them to track whether you're having friends and family leave reviews for your product. So you definitely don't want to be doing that. What this does is it violates Amazon's terms of service. It also puts your account at risk for not being able to get reviews in the future. So you definitely don't want to do this practice. What you do want to do is you want to use Amazon's Vine program. So you can get your first, I think it's 30 reviews with the Vine program. You do have to pay for them. They send product to Amazon influencers, and then the Amazon influencers will go and review your product. Honestly, I have mixed feedback from brands about this. Sometimes they get great reviews, sometimes they get a lot of mixed reviews. And I just want to remind everybody that mixed reviews are okay. Like, it's okay for not everyone to like love your product as much as you do. And usually when you don't get those good reviews, it can give people a sense of that this is like a genuine, honest review. And so that can be okay. If there's all negative reviews, it should be time to be looking at your product and thinking about what you can do to improve it. The other two components of this is you can automate your review request with a tool called Seller Assistant by Helium 10. It's completely free. Again, I have a link for that in the tool pack at the end of this presentation. Basically, you install it in Chrome, and then when you go to your orders page in FBA, you click one button and it'll request a review manually from anybody that's ordered from you in the last however many days. So it's a really great way to keep requesting those reviews. You're allowed to use that function once on Amazon per order. So I recommend doing it with every order. Although you don't have to go in and do it manually every day or every week. You can just go check it once a month, click the button, and this tool will do it for you, which is great. The last thing is there's other methods that may or may not be compliant. So you really need to stay up on what Amazon views as compliant or not. There were things in the past that people used to do, like rebate programs, that are no longer compliant anymore. Amazon put a hard stop to that. In the tool pack at the end of this, I do have a website where people go to get some extra reviews going. You have to use it at your own risk. They say that they're within terms of service, and they specifically state how they stay compliant. I know other agencies are using it with success. So if you need to work on your reviews, that could be a method. I've also heard from brands an interesting strategy that's completely free, where periodically they'll go on their Amazon or on their Instagram, they'll put up a poll asking their own customers if their customers have bought from their Amazon store yet. And if customers reply yes to the poll, they'll DM them and say, thank you so much. We'd love for you to leave an honest review. They drop them the link, and then later on they can follow up with some sort of like, thank you, or even a coupon or something, who knows. So you don't want to
Do you
be
know if it's within the terms of service or not to ask like your existing email list of e-commerce customers to buy on Amazon and leave a review?
You can, because those are your customers. The challenge is there's Amazon's tracking the ratio of how many new reviews are coming in to how many orders have been placed. So if you don't have a lot of orders and you want more reviews, you have to basically keep it at a certain threshold. So what I would do is segment your email list to, let's say, ask like 100 every 2 weeks, or figure out what the math is so that you're doing like less than 10% of what your orders are. Not everybody's going to leave a review too. So you kind of have to figure out what that math is for your email list to see how many are actually going to go and leave a review. There's a tool that I talk about in this presentation that has it's a split testing tool, but they have a really unique function where, let's say you wanted to poll your email list, you wanted to ask them like, hey, what do you think of our new packaging? Or, hey, what do you think of our new designs on Amazon? And give your feedback, and we'll send you a 10% off coupon or something like that. They have a tool where you can basically like send them this poll through Product Pinion is what it's called. And then your people from your email list can leave the review, and it automatically drops them the coupon. So they just make it really easy for you to use the coupons within Amazon, put that into this program, and send it out to your email list. It's a fun and engaging way to keep them involved in your process as you go.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right, so product images. Now we're getting into like my specialty. So what we love to do at Mindful Goods is make sure that all of your creative has a function, right? So your main image is what's helping you get your click-through from the search results. So with your main image specifically, it's a product on white on Amazon always, but you can have fun with it. You can do what we call eye candy. So you see how this Maja Foods has like the little bananas floating in the air. Like you can do that kind of stuff if the background was white. You can do, like, if you sell supplements, you could do a little powder on the side, or you can do capsules, or let's say you have a mint flavor, you could put a mint leaf behind your packaging. You can try your main image with the bottle and the packaging, or without the package. Like there's different things that you want to be thinking through and ideating and coming up with multiple different options of your main image, so you can split test it later, which we will also get into. After your main image, the next set of product images should be high quality infographic lifestyle images. So you can see examples of this on the left. So what you normally see on Amazon, if you can see that image on the left that has the nutritional facts, normally it's just a picture of the back of the bag, right? Or a picture of the back of the nutritional facts. You have so much real estate to be using in your images. So if there's other things that you can point out that are benefits to the shopper, point them out. In hindsight, I think that's a little too much text, but this product set did perform well. So just look at that as like a best practice of like big headers. Everything's mobile friendly. You're calling out like one main thing, and then there's sub points that kind of help influence or help reinforce that main point. You want to have your actual product photos of your product at different angles and showing the product in use. So you don't want to have just like a flat lay without any text on it. That is doing you no justice on Amazon. Every image on Amazon should be reinforcing or selling something to your customer, answering a question they have, or reinforcing those like main 5-6 points that we talked about in the beginning. And then the last point here is that like really like I can't stress this enough, every single image should serve a function. So are we talking about the benefits? Are we talking about the coupon that you have? Are we talking about how to use this product in your shakes? Are we talking about like, what are we talking about? What is the point of this image? And is this one of the main points that we know the shoppers are looking for? And how do we visualize that in the best way possible, especially on mobile? Okay,
Awesome. That was super helpful.
Yeah, next one. Premium A+. So some of you may actually, I guarantee most of you have basic A+ still. If you have premium, drop a note. Actually, drop a note in the comments right now. If you have basic, put basic. If you have premium, put premium, because I'm actually curious to see who's working with basic A+ content and who's working with premium. This is one of the best ways that you can increase your sales on Amazon. And the reason for this is because Premium A+ used to be a feature that, and actually still, vendor sellers on Amazon are being charged $100,000 to $200,000 for this exact set of functionality. They've made it completely free for brands that are brand registered. So it's very simple to unlock. It takes less than 5 minutes. I didn't include the link for my tutorial on how to unlock it, but I will drop it into the tool pack. What we're seeing with brands right now that are upgrading from basic A+ to premium A+ is a 300% increase in sales, which Jordan and I did a separate webinar on that. So if you guys want to see all the details of like how we recommend building premium A+ content and what are the best practices in order to see these results, I recommend checking out that separate webinar. But in a nutshell, Premium A+ is allowing you to have this like full scale landing page with a seamless scroll with interactive modules like hotspots, carousels, and video, which is why it's so effective. So if you're focused on really high quality imagery, like most CPG brands are, then you should definitely take advantage of Premium A+ content. Okay, next one. So split testing. This is my favorite topic. So once you have your copy, once you have your main images, once you have your A+ content, once you have your bullets, all of those things can be tested with split testing. Where there's 2 types of split testing that I want to talk about so people understand the differences. The first one is external split testing, which is not using Amazon data, and that is what we use for design iteration. So that is going to be tools like PickFu or Product Pinion, where you can basically put in, let's say, your 2 main images, and you can see which image people like better. And you can select, 50 Amazon Prime shoppers and ask them really quickly which image they like better and why. And they will tell you why. So you're getting quantitative and qualitative data. And once you get that information, you'll have like a general understanding of what's working and what's not working, and which image is probably working best for your specific demographic. So that's why we love using a tool like that in that design process. You can also run your main image option against two competitors to understand, okay, this is our main image right now against two of our top competitors. How many people pick our main image? Let's say 20%. Now we have a new main image. How does that perform against two competitors, the same two competitors? And let's say you got it up to 40%. Awesome, you're making progress. So this is a great, affordable tool. Both of these are, where you can basically get data within an hour, and it's super easy.
Danielle,
Now,
you did this for my team for using PickFu and for our Joyful Co boxes, and it was super helpful. And seeing like which of our images perform best, and there was one with a hand opening one of our gift boxes, and a lot of people commented that seeing the hand made it feel more engaging and added a sense of scale, which none of the other products have. And like
yeah,
I never even thought about that. The pictures happened to have one. And then we also did one against our competitors to see like how that looked, and had some really great data from that. So super helpful.
exactly, exactly. And so that's why I say with main images, you want to be coming up with multiple different options. Like you might have some ideas, those are all a hypothesis, right? And the other thing I want to caution this with is like this kind of external feedback is great for iteration. It is not the tried and true Amazon data though. So even though you might have a good idea of what might perform best, it's still just an indication. It's not true Amazon data. So use that for iteration, use that for, improving your concept. And once you have something you truly believe in, then you want to move over to internal design validation tool, which is Amazon's free Manage Your Experiments tool. And so in there, you can put in two titles, you can put in two main images, you can put in two bullets, you can put in two sets of A+ content, and you can test them against each other. And as of right now, our success rate with Amazon experiments is around 70–80% of all the tests we run are successful. And that means that 70–80% of every test we do for clients is creating additional sales for clients. So if you go to the next screen. Oh, that's weird. Okay, so this next screen, this is an example of the two different types of testing. So on PickFu on the left, you see that we ran the original image, which is labeled option C, against option A, which was the new image that we created. All we did here was we made the box bigger. We made the close-up of the snack cookies bigger, and then we added a 6 bars on the front. Now, what's interesting about this is we got a lot of feedback on this image that they couldn't really read the text on there as well as they wanted to. So what did we do? We took it a step further, made the box into a render from that feedback so that it was bright and crisp, which you can't see in this. And the other thing we noticed is people wondering like which of these products were vegan. And that's not something we really thought about when we were designing these main images. And so while it might have been really small on some of the tests we were doing, what we did is we called out the word vegan really big, right? And so what we noticed is by changing this main image and making these slight tweaks, these aren't even like totally different concepts. This is just making an improvement on what we have and making things easier, aiding the shopper in seeing what they need to see and using that iterative feedback. We saw an 11.8% increase in click-through traffic within 2 weeks. And this is by changing one image, right? This other test here on the right shows you an example of what you see with a Manage Your Experiment data, where you can see which one is performing, what the probability is. And my favorite part is actually on the next screen. So you'll see how much sales you can increase, but this is my favorite part. It's actually going to show you projections of what they think the impact is going to be to your revenue. So they have best case scenario and most likely scenario. So this client of ours has a best case scenario of making an extra $140,000. And this is on one SKU. Imagine if they take these concepts and they apply them to the rest of their catalog. I mean, if they had over 10 products in their catalog doing the same kind of results, they could be increasing their revenue by over $1 million. Like this is the kind of real changes that content can make for you.
And then imagine if they're doing this on like a monthly basis, right? And then can keep finding things that continue to scale.
Exactly, exactly. And that's where like the rinse and repeat factor comes in on the optimization side. So the next screen here is sharing a little bit about promos and programs. So these are not things that we manage for clients, but they're definitely important in the optimization product and a project and or side of things. So the way that I like to explain this is, think about these as levers. So Amazon is giving you all of these levers that you can pull and play with in order to drive more sales, drive more traffic, drive more awareness, and get more reviews. And so just to explain each one of these really quickly, Vine is the program that you want to use when you're launching any new products to Amazon. It'll give you your first 30 reviews. Subscribe and save, and these are in the order of how I view them as importance, right? So subscribe and save is probably like, it comes after Vine, that's why it's after Vine, but it is subscribe and save for most brands that have that option is probably the most important driving factor. So especially, I mean, in CPG, you want to be tracking your subscribe and saves. You want to be seeing what is the most effective at getting more people on subscribe and save. That is really going to be the determining factor of whether you're successful on your Amazon sales. It's a huge benefit to be in subscribe and save. In order to qualify, you definitely need to be using FBA, and you need to have enough inventory in stock to where they invite you. You just need to keep checking your account every couple of weeks to see if you have enough, like if they've given you access, basically. And then from there, you can tailor your campaigns inside of subscribe and save and see what works for you over time. Brand tailored promotions is another newer program, which is amazing. It gives you the ability to target specific promotions based on where the shopper is at in the funnel, right? Did they come to your listing and not buy anything? Are they a repeat customer, and do you want them to buy something else? Like, there's all of these different promotions that you can qualify for over time, depending on how much sales and traffic you have on your product pages. The next one is coupons. I think we're all pretty familiar with coupons. It's great to play around with these and always have them running on your listing, but you also have to be thinking about whether you have all these other things turned on too, and how that's affecting your margins. The Creator Connections program is also a newer program, and this is what you're going to be using for your affiliate marketing. So there's now a program within Amazon where you can go in, and it's in the advertising dashboard, and you can set up a campaign, and you can have creators promote your product outside of Amazon, like let's say on TikTok or Instagram. There is a hack to this that I also shared in the tool stack at the end, where if you pair this with what Amazon calls your brand referral link, because brands can earn 10% back if they're running any ads outside of Amazon and driving traffic to Amazon, or if they're driving affiliates to Amazon, affiliate sales to Amazon, you get 10% of that money back, right? So of that revenue back. And so what you can do is take your brand referral link, put it into your creator connection campaign, and ask the creators to use that link with their affiliate link, so that, let's say you pay the creator 10%, well, you're getting that 10% back. So it's basically free to have these creators promote your product. There is a whole PDF guide on how to do this. And I attributed the author who came up with this concept in that tool stack. And then the last piece is posts. And so this is basically free marketing that Amazon's giving you. Amazon doesn't give you much for free, but this is free. Now you can pay to boost your post. But it's basically their own version of like Instagram inside of Amazon. And the great thing about posts is you already have your content for TikTok or for Instagram. You can post it here as well. And it's just free awareness play. And these posts sit for a while on your competitors' listings on mobile. So like if someone's searching for something, your post might come up naturally and organically, even months later.
Posts are really interesting too, that I've seen, because a lot of brands are not using them because there's no like direct effect that you can always measure necessarily. And
They
so if
don't give you
you
a
are
ton of
like,
data.
yeah, if you're like the only one in your category using it, then you can like show up
Exactly.
on everyone else's post when they're not really
Exactly.
paying attention to it.
And if you have someone on your team that's already posting to Instagram and other places, it's just one more place for them to just go in and be posting every week, you know, and you're just going to get more and more awareness over time.
Yeah. We have one question come in from Sasha, who asks, can you distinguish which of these are applicable to FBM, fulfilled by merchant?
Which of these
Programs.
programs?
'Cause I think like subscribe and save, you have to be on the FBA.
SBA. I think brand tailored promotions is available to both. Coupons is available to both. Creator Connections is available to both. Although if you don't see Creator Connections in your advertising dashboard as an option, I think it's under like brand or something like that, or creative. If you don't see it in there, you can submit a ticket to Amazon and tell them you're trying to set up a Creator Connections campaign, and then they will unlock it for you, usually within a week or two.
Awesome.
Posts, I think, should be available to everyone. Vine, I think, is available. I think it's only subscribe and save that it's not.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I could
One
be
of my
wrong.
favorite things for new brands as well, I actually loved using like having a 5% off coupon just continuously running for new
Hmm.
customer acquisition. I found that actually worked really well of getting us to like stand out because it like the coupon's in a different color, and
Yep.
I found that it performed better than actually just having a sale on the product is having a coupon instead. And so we saw like a boost of just leaving that up for a period of time, especially for new products.
Yeah. And then you just made me think of something else that I didn't put on here, is virtual bundles.
Oh yeah.
So
You
you
talk
can
about
definitely
what?
combine virtual bundles. Now they show up in your variations on your listing. So those are also a really great way to expand on your product offering in a really simple way.
Yeah, I think this is probably a good time to mention as well. Like, there's a ton that you can do on Amazon. And I remember when I first got started with T Squares, actually took 3 months to like make this the dedicated platform and channel that I was learning and doing so that I could really understand the in and outs. Because there is so much here, right? Those things that you mentioned before in optimization, your images, listing, premium A plus content, like those 100% like guarantee you do those first. But
Yeah,
then if you like have time to start layering in some of these initial things, there's a lot to learn and there's a lot of levers to pull
right.
to actually get your sales up.
Yeah, and I would just think about it like do them one at a time over time. You don't have to do them
Yeah.
all at once. You want to really understand what's working and what's not. And so this is where data and performance comes in, what's working and what's not. So I wanted to show you guys where you can find your brand analytics, because there's lots of different things you can extract from this, and it's worth you. I mean, in the next week, going in here and just looking at the data that Amazon's giving you, it's really interesting. You can see demographics, you can see analytic, you can see that the search query performance is what keywords are related to your product. You can go in here and pull this on a monthly basis or quarterly basis. And it's just really interesting stuff to go in here and just know about your product and figure out, okay, maybe we should think about adding these keywords back into our listing, or what's going on with our competition. Like they're giving you great tools in here on the brand analytics side. So when you're building your listing, definitely play around with this. If you're upgrading your listing, definitely play around with this. On the dashboard side, there is a tool that Amazon released called Build Your Brand. And it's basically like a 3-point dashboard that shows you like, these are the 3 areas that Amazon looks at for your performance. And these are the metrics that they're helping to track for you. And then on the right side of this, there's little recommendations of what you can do to improve each one of those 3 things. And there's a hyperlink at the bottom of each section that shows you all the tools that are related to that thing. So it's a great way to go in there and up level your skills over time, so you can make your performance better and better. So that they're trying to make it easier for brands to, in a really simple way, digest the data performance wise and to improve over time with these tools that we just talked about in the previous slide.
Awesome. I love it. I think one of their data even shows like a conversion funnel or sales funnel to see like how many people searched for you,
Yeah,
how many people viewed your page, added to cart, and then purchased. So you can actually see like where people are dropping off in the sales funnel too.
yeah, yeah. And repeat customers is awesome. And so Amazon traffic is the third component. Now, we are not specialists in Amazon traffic. That could be an entirely different webinar. And honestly, even just Amazon PPC is so different from external traffic. So I wanted to break that down and explain when you should be doing this and what are the different options. And so if you think about Amazon traffic in general, you don't want to be driving traffic to your listings until you have at least, like, I would say 30 reviews, but at least 10 reviews, like minimum, right? And the other thing is, you don't want to be driving traffic when you are not sure that the content on your product page is working, you know? So you want to make sure that you have top-notch content, that your page is converting, your product is validated, and that you have reviews. And only then do you turn on ads, otherwise you're going to waste your ad spend. So the way that we think about traffic sources, again, internal, external. So usually brands are starting with internal because you want to get Amazon's flywheel going. There's this thing called the honeymoon period that within 90 days of launching your product on Amazon, Amazon will give you an extra boost. So you want to be turning on your ads as soon as possible, but you still want to get those reviews first. So again, 10 to 30 reviews, and then you'll probably play around with automatic reviews and sponsored product ads first to try to understand which keywords are related to your product. So that's going to go out and find those keywords and serve that data up to you. It is not an overnight process. The process can take 3 to 6 months to really understand which keywords are most relative to your product and which ones can you afford within your budget. Now, for some products, Amazon ads do not work well. It's too expensive. There's too much competition. It's going to get more competitive over time. And so there are a lot of brands that are doing a minimum spend on Amazon, and they're spending most of their efforts outside of Amazon. If they're in the awareness stage, they want to be running Instagram ads or Google ads or that sort of thing. So that's where you'd be thinking about Google, TikTok, Meta. And there's probably other things outside of that, but those are the main ones that came to mind when I was building this. So again, that is the in a nutshell, the way you should be thinking about it. We don't have too much on PPC, but that would be a great next webinar, Jordan.
I know, I like
Bringing a
that. Sarah
PPC
actually
expert
asked,
in.
what's the minimum spend on, let's just say, Amazon PPC?
It's very low. Like, I mean, you could be spending $100, $500 a month just to be testing things out and seeing what's working. You know, you don't have to go in and spend $10,000.
I
But
used
if
to
you see,
spend $5 a day, I think, just to start, like as a bare
yeah,
minimum on like the automated ads, and then start building up based on the if it was
yeah.
working.
And you can even keep an auto, even when you move to the sponsored product ads, you can keep an auto campaign running and keep the bid really low. So it's just on autopilot. Amazon always sees it as running. You're only going to get sales every now and again on really long tail keywords, but it's just like a low autopilot way of showing Amazon that you're running ads in addition to your other campaigns.
One thing that I'll add as well for people running ads is it can get a little tricky when you're trying to determine your ROI. And so a lot of times people look at ROAS, return on ad spend, which is directly how many people clicked on your ad and then purchased. But a lot of times, what you also want to be measuring is they call it like tacos, but total return on ad spend, essentially, when you're looking at your total sales for your entire account compared to ad spend. So a lot of times what will happen is you'll have a sponsored ad on the same page as your organic listing, and someone might see your ad at the top, scroll down and look at some competitors, and then click on your listing that's organic, maybe 4 spots down, but that ad actually played a part in their decision making because they saw you twice, but that wouldn't show up in your ad spend. And so you might look and say, hey, we're actually like losing some money on our ad spend, or it's like really high. But if you turn that off, your ratio of like ad spend to sales would actually look worse, because and your sales might go down because people are using that sponsor ad as an additional point in decision making point.
Yeah. Awesome. That's a really great point.
Cool. So
The
we are coming up in the
one
yeah.
critical thing really quick, if you are running ads and you're scared and you feel like they're not profitable, don't just turn off all your ads at once. That's one of the big no-nos. It's very similar to just running out of stock on Amazon. You want to be careful with how you're turning down your spend over time.
I mean, to be realistic, Amazon makes a lot of money from you running ads. So they're like, we want you to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Dana, I know we'll share this deck as well, but you mentioned a ton of these like different tools in
Yeah,
here.
that's the tool stack. I'll drop in the tutorial for unlocking your premium A+ content. It's also on my website. It's pretty easy to find. So if anybody needs it. Also, most of these tools, these are affiliate links. So I get paid if you end up using it, but we actually use all of these tools in-house. And if any of them ask you for a discount code, usually we have discount codes set up with all of them. It's Mindful VIP.
Awesome. The other thing that I'll share as well, I know we're kind of out of time for questions. If you have questions, feel free to shoot me an email in the recap, and I can connect you with Daniela as well. Daniela and her team do an amazing job at building out content for your listing, both the images and then also the copy. And I worked with them for Joyful Co. and they did an absolutely amazing job. So super happy with them. And then for everyone listening as well, there's a 10% off discount of working with Danielle and her team. I'll shoot over that discount code as well. I think it's just Food Bevy if you sign up through their site. But I also love her pricing is like super transparent. It's on the website, so you can see exactly what you need. But it really makes a difference and helps you make more money.
Hey, thanks for that.
So here's her information. Well, as I mentioned, we'll be sending out that info. But Danielle, thanks so much for joining today. This is super fun.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, everyone. Good luck with Amazon. If you have any other questions, as I mentioned, reach out. We're happy to help.